Welcome to the InStory show. I'm Devorah Spilman, your host, and today I'm thrilled to welcome InStory expert Bridget Anderson. Hi, Bridget.
Hi, how are you?
Wonderful. So Bridget is a spiritual counselor, a metaphysical healer, and a math teacher. And I always think, oh, those lucky math students getting metaphysical healing while they're learning math. So Bridget, tell us a little bit about what it means to be a spiritual counselor, metaphysical healer, a little bit what that work is, and how did you come, why aren't you just a math teacher?
Well, the metaphysical healer and spiritual counselor is to help people move past their blocks that they're experiencing in life, to move beyond their negative aspects that they want to and are ready to work on. It helps to clear past lives. It helps to clear the subconscious and makes you ready for your path to be you and to shine the light of who you are out into the world. And I bring in divine energy in order to hold the space and assist with the healing of another, the world, whatever it is that is necessary. This path I did find through my own need to break through my negativity. I had a very important person to me pass away, and I became.
When you were how old?
I was in my 30s, and I'd always had the gift of divine presence and being able to channel the divine. It was more of something I felt was mine to do. When I was a teenager, it was taught to me that, it's my role to assist God in giving information to other people. And whenever it is, that they needed and whatever it is that they needed to hear. And so I just kind of left it at that stage. It never really went beyond that. And then I found myself in a very depressive, self-sabotaging place. And I needed to get out of the hole. And so in order to get out of the hole, I had to try and get back into my discussions with spirit and back into my center, because I had gone so far from it. And so the first thing I did was read a lot of books. And that's when I understood about spirit guides, because that was not something that we grew up with. We had angels, but we didn't have spirit guides. And so I learned Reiki, and from there, it wasn't enough. I needed more context. And so I went and got a degree in metaphysical healing, which allows me to have an open channel with divine source. And I can use that information to assist others in directing them through spiritual counseling or other methods of healing into or onto paths that benefit their growth and whatever it is that they're choosing to work on and they're ready to work on. Sometimes we think we want to do something, and it's really our subconscious just leading us in a way till we can actually work on this other particular thing. And so what I do is I help guide them down that path through channeling divine energy and doing healings with angel readings or soul life readings, a spiritual healing process of transpersonal healing called Rohan, a variety of different methodologies. I can do distance Reiki. There are hands-on aspects that I do, but that would involve more extensive work rather than what most people want every day at this point.
So, Bridget, say a little bit about what did you discover as you began this path, right? Like how did it help you through that time? And then what things have you seen in other people and in situations because of this work?
It helped me get back into my heart. I became a very, I don't want to say bitter, but more cold and distant to humanity. And I got to a point where I was, a little big question in my mind was, why am I here? And what's my point if this is what it is? There was nothing, and there was no reason to be here if there's nothing. And so I actually had to go find something. And that connection, as soon as that spark came back from me to the divine, it made the whole life experience change. It was like going from watching black and white TV to color.
Wow.
And it can happen instantaneously. It just is a matter of getting into the space back to our source and lifting into it, away from the fear, away from the sense of isolation that I was in. And it made all the difference. And I now am able to do that for other people, which really emphasizes the fact of me having gone through it the first time. I do understand where people are, and I can get them through those spaces into a better place. I've worked with people who have been suicidal, and they are no longer in that awful energy. I've worked with people who did not believe that there was any path for themselves, and have helped them find, oh, they're happy now. They have purpose, they have a reason to be here, and they're glad now to be here. There's been pretty amazing transformations that occur when people are able to feel safe enough to open up to the divine energy and the divine love, and realizing that unconditional compassion exists, and that they're forgiven, and then they forgive themselves. And once they forgive themselves, that forgiveness really helps them blossom.
So, we're recording this in very, tumultuous times with the coronavirus and things shutting down and people going into their own spaces. And I would love for you to share a little bit of your sensibility about maybe some thoughts and tips to help people lift up their energy, to lift up to in a more positive place. Just because I know you're so connected, and I think it's important for us to each find these higher guidance places that's, it's like I'm talking a lot about leading from your lane. Like, that's my thing. Like, how do we lift each other up, and so that we're not just completely pulled down by the fear that's around?
Well, the first thing that I'm getting is, take time to turn off the TV. Mm-hmm. Take time to get away from the media, from the social media about anything dealing with the virus, and take a moment. It may be 5 minutes, maybe less, whatever you can do. And then eventually over time it grows, to center yourself, to remind yourself that we are being held in the palm of God's hands. And all of this is part of his plan. There is nothing that is not. It all has purpose. And we have to remember that God did say he saw it was all good. So, and all means all. And so this is a growing pains that we're experiencing. We're the bud that's waiting to open. We're the oak seed in the ground waiting to sprout again anew. Everything has to stop and change. And the miraculous things that are happening that aren't being emphasized, that's what you want to look for. Look for the neighbor that's getting groceries for an elderly person. Look for the fact that for the first time, the satellites are showing air pollution is dissipating in various places because we aren't driving as much. You know, there are what people would call negative side effects to this. And I never would want to diminish the effects of and the understanding of what that is. But it's also a transformational time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a matter of how you frame what's happening. And if you can frame what's happening so that you are available to see the opportunity to see God everywhere, including in you and in what you choose to do, to say, to think, it all matters. It all affects the energy within you and around you. And as you change your energy in and around you, you change what you experience, you change what you see, and you change those around you, because now you're holding higher energy. And if you can hold higher energy, then the people around you are able to now resonate with the higher energy you're holding. And now you have made a positive impact on your community, which then spreads eventually, you know, a little time to worldwide.
I can feel the strength of that. It's so important what you just said about trusting that this is inside of something bigger and we're inside of God's hands. And also that when I change my energy, what I see changes. Like that's just it's such an important and true thing. And that it will also affect the people around me. So keep going. Lay on us a few more tips, suggestions, ideas, thoughts to just continue to share just more of that knowledge of how people can shift their energy, shift out of fear, tap into this higher guidance. Just, I think we need to hear this. You know, we, like you said, turn off the other things. I did that yesterday. I turned off all of the like fear things, what's happening. I listened to all my spiritual teachers, and then I was like, I feel so much better. And, you know, I get such a strong message that we have to tap into joy. And that just because you, like, once you, and this was a message from the 1800s, once you, he even said, like, this rabbi who was being taught, Rabbi Nachman, was like, to be cautious. Once you have done that, then you can be in joy. Like once you've done the thing you can do, there's only so much you can do. Then you don't have to be miserable and terrified anymore. It's not helping. So it helped me so much to spend that time listening to something that was about transcendence and about joy. So that's what I want to do for the people listening here, is to put in these higher messages. So share some more of your thoughts that have been coming to you, or that you know that will help us to go through these growing pains.
Well, what comes to mind at this time is the need to nourish our souls. Mm-hmm. Not everybody, but there are a lot of people that are hoarding food, or toilet paper has become the big thing. And all of our leaders are saying, we don't have a shortage on food. The grocery stores aren't closing. There's not a need for that. And yet that's the action that's happening. And so they're trying to feed something. And what they're really searching for or reaching for is the need to fill the soul with that divine love that fear creates a separation from. And they don't even necessarily realize that that's what they're reaching for. And so they just reach for something as a way to try to fulfill the need to get. But what they're not realizing is they're not getting. And so they keep reaching and they're not getting it. They keep reaching. And so the shelves, they all the stuff on the shelves disappears. But what they're trying to really do is touch source energy and feel that, so that the separation between them and the divine does not exist, because it really does not exist. But the fear creates that type of separation. And the fear is as contagious as a yawn is, also as contagious as a smile is. And so if we do more of the smiling rather than the yawning, then it helps to uplift the vibration. When the vibration uplifts, it's easier to touch the source energy. It's easier to touch God's presence. And especially with the religious institutions shutting down, everybody's in isolation. That in itself is an outpouring of the isolation within the humanity at the moment, because it's the expression. What we see is what we're experiencing. So we're seeing all this isolation. So people are feeling very isolated. And now it's become something that not only do we feel, but we see. And so it's ready to be addressed. It has to be addressed. It's not something that we can put off anymore as a collective. We need to get to the point where this has to rise up above this fear, and we have to rise up through nourishing our souls, nourishing the body in proper ways, drinking the water. Water is a good way to connect with our emotions, and finding positive, higher ways to express our emotions, so that we may need to journal more rather than watch TV. Might need to play more, especially for those with children at home all of the time. Bring play into what they're learning, and be a part of that play, and find that inner joy that you had when you were a child. Your children are there exhibiting it. Don't ignore that opportunity. Build the family back up if it needs it, teach the children to meditate, continue any of the positive actions that you're already doing to lift yourself, to lift the planet, to lift the collective. I'm not getting anything else. I guess it's time for a breath. Breathe. There you go. That was a lot. Breathe. You got to breathe.
Right. One of the things I teach, I have the InStory guided process, and the first step is always stop and breathe. And I remember in kindergarten, there was this thing where they would say, stop, drop, and read. And
yes.
So now I like to tell people, stop, drop, and breathe, meaning stop, drop everything, and breathe. And get into that stillness, into that quiet place. Because I think what you're saying about that our souls need nourishing is very powerful. And so one of the ways to do that is to become quiet and notice your breath, and feel that connection between that divine connection and breath. Like in Hebrew, there's a cool thing, because the word for breath and the word for soul in Hebrew, one of the words for soul, there's a few, is neshima is breath and neshama is soul. And in Hebrew, the vowels are not letters, they're dots and dashes. So those are the same letters. Your soul and your breath are the same letters.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Yeah, exactly. So your breath is your path to connecting to your soul.
And when you're frightened, you tend to breathe very shallow. And when you're not frightened, you can take the deep breaths, which reaches your soul. So
Right.
definitely take the time to do the deep breathing.
Let's make them take a breath right now. Everybody,
Okay.
come on, let's make them take a breath right now. Everyone watching, this is a stop, drop, and breathe moment. We didn't plan it.
That is true.
So everybody close your eyes and just stop for a minute and breathe. Just take a moment of stillness right now in the middle of this interview, in the middle of this moment. And as you breathe, feel Bridget's words about nourishing your soul. And as we're in this moment of stillness, Bridget, if something comes to you, just feel free to add that. And everybody, as you're going through this stillness, feel that grounding, the letting go, and then feel that flow from above, filling you all up and nourishing your soul. And Bridget, if you want to add a word or if anything else comes to you, just add that in. Otherwise, we're just going to feel that stillness of breath.
I see us as each one handling ourselves as an infant as we move into this new territory, and to be gentle and hold the child gently. Hold yourself gently through whatever it is, without any obstacle or crisis that happens. Remember that it is not something that has to keep you separate from you.
Beautiful. Feel that gentleness, the gentle holding of your infant being and the nourishment of your soul. It's like your soul is that infant being and you're just giving it love and safety and nourishment, and feel that you are being given this from above and that you are receiving it and nourishing that tender part. So let's take another breath. Feel the stillness. And remind yourself that you can come back all through your day, every day, into a moment of stillness and ask. Remember also to ask for that higher guidance. And then come back and open your eyes and come on back. And I don't generally like break out and say we're going to do something, but I just felt so much from what you said, Bridget, that it was like, let's give them a moment of what you were just saying so that we help everyone watching to take those moments, take those nourishing moments so that we don't become so depleted.
Yes.
In this time. So Bridget, maybe talk a little bit about, you could share a little bit about, like, sort of, because you're in InStory, you could share a little bit about InStory and the difference from before you were in that and where you are now, like the whole process of being encouraged to bring this part of you out into the world. Because for a lot of people watching, I think there is this feeling like I have something more in me, but I don't know how to bring it out, or I don't know if it's okay to bring it out. So maybe you could just share a little bit of support to people about that.
Okay. When I first started InStory, I did have the techniques and the ability, but I didn't have the self-confidence. I didn't have the ability to get through the barrier to step out into my fullness as a healer. And over the past, I don't know how long it's been now, I have, and I've started my own practice, and I am at a point where I've been able to embody who I am as a healer, and that it is okay these days it is okay. It didn't used to be when I was young. We couldn't talk about it to the extent that I have the ability to. And but now the whole world in that area has changed, and we don't want to go backwards from that. And so we need to remember who we are, and then we need to share who we are to help other people remember who they are, and then allow them to be those magnificent, soulful individuals of spirit that they are.
It, so beautifully said. And I see it so often, like we have these incredible gifts and we kind of, they're the ones we had our whole life, but we weren't allowed to bring them out, you know, and we didn't feel like, who am I to do it kind of thing. And, you know, so, all right. So Bridget, tell them a little bit about the free gift that you created and how it will help them.
Okay. I created a meditation to help remove some negative areas in your life. And this will put you into a higher vibration. It will help move you forward in some places where you've been stuck. And hopefully you will find that as you listen to the meditation more than one time, it will continue to do that for you.
Yeah. And do you want to say something about the energy that it's designed to lead them towards, or they'll wait and see that?
Well, I hold the divine energy, and when the negative energy is released, that allows for the flow of the divine energy to naturally take its place within you, because that's what you are, is divine energy. And without the dams that stop it, then it has its natural flow through and in your life and you feel 100% better.
So this is a great time to do that meditation and to do it regularly. It's like one of the other women in InStory talked about, they talk all about physical hygiene, but there's energy hygiene, spiritual hygiene. So this is spiritual hygiene. You need, it's spiritual immunity, like really strengthening. Because if you're more in that divine flow, in that place of joy and love, you will feel better and you will stay better. So,
yes.
So grab the free gift, go through it. You can jump into the Facebook group to ask us questions, to share your insights, to questions about anything that Bridget has talked about, your own experiences. So, all right, Bridget, as we're kind of coming to the end, share maybe just a few last words of inspiration.
I know that divine love is everywhere, and it is waiting. It is asking you to be receptive to it, and receiving is often not our strongest point. And so you have to think of your heart opening like a flower and being receptive to the divine love that is everywhere in every breath you take, and let it just fill you.
Okay.
And that's what I got.
I could feel that. No, I could literally feel the importance of that, and almost the activation of it for everybody listening. If you really take that in, you will actually feel that opening happening. So Bridget, thank you so much. It really, I feel it's so, what you had to say is so important, and I'm so appreciative for you showing up, speaking into these deep truths to really make a difference for people. It's just a very important time, more maybe than any other times we've been in, to speak these truths.
Yes, yes. And thank you for having me. It's been a joy to be on here.
Yeah.
And I love sharing this.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's so, you know, I'm so happy you're doing it. So much my vision of InStory and the whole InStory way is, and all the InStory way experts who are speaking, you know, when I first said, okay, guys, so I'm going to put all my clients on my international show. And they're like, no, you know, but here it is. It's so much that you and all of you who are listening, if you have something to say, it means the world needs to hear it. And don't you feel that more and more, that sense, Bridget, of being called to bring this wisdom out?
Oh, definitely. It is time to bring spirit to earth. It's time to bring heaven to earth. And we need to be the ones to do it. We're the ones here to do it. We're here at this time for a reason.
Yeah.
And it's time to step up and do the actions that we came here to do.
Absolutely. So we are cheering you on, everybody. Reach out, do Bridget's meditation, and then reach out to us here in the Facebook group. And as I always say in farewell, remember to go out in the world, share your story, live your purpose, and be a blessing. Bye, everybody.